Okay, welcome everyone. We'll call this July 14th, 2026 meeting of council to order at 6 p.m. This meeting will be held in a hybrid manner where members of council, staff, and the public can participate electronically. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available on the township website. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 and in accordance with the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, that all information attained is considered part of the public record. All rules apply to the meeting as if everyone was attending in person, and if there is a problem with the technology impacting the proceedings of a meeting, the meeting may be recessed. So now I would ask anyone that can to rise for the playing of the national anthem. We acknowledge that we are being hosted on the ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee, Mississauga, and Omama-Winini people. We acknowledge and welcome the presence of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, Inuit, and other First Nations from across this vast land, who also make this place home. The lands we are on today are recognized in the Two-Row Wampum, Dish with One Spoon Treaty, Treaty 27, and the Crawford Purchase. Okay. So the first item up is confirmation of the agenda, and we do have an amendment to be included in the agenda this evening. And it will be on the screen. There we go. So the new motion is the first part, and so would someone like to make the motion? Councillor Broderick.
I would move that the agenda of July 14th, 2026 meeting of council be amended to include item 11.5 motion following notice, smoking and vaporizing bylaw report, and that the agenda of July 14th, 2026 meeting of council be confirmed as amended.
So moved. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ennis. All in favor? Motion has passed. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof for this evening? Councillor Budrick.
Sorry, my apologies. Two items in 14.8, item number 4 and item number 12. The paperwork is already in.
Thank you. Councillor Broderick.
My paperwork is in for item 14.8 again with items 3, 5, 12, and 13 under that heading.
Okay, thank you. Any other declarations? Councilor Willis.
My paperwork is in as well for item number 14.8, and it's the GC Resolution GC 2026-45, Loyalist Business Association.
Any other declarations this evening? Councilor Budberg?
I need to amend mine to also include number 13 as well. My apologies.
Okay. When we get to that item, I'll just, there's a number of them, so I'll just make sure that we keep them all sorted out when we get to that part. Okay, so the next up is statutory public meeting. So the first one is a statutory public meeting, proposed amendments to the affordable and purpose-built rental housing CIP. It's just the preamble why staff are coming forward. A public meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of Section 28 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, as amended to consider amendments to the affordable and purpose-built rental housing CIP. The proposed amendments will create two new financial incentives for the redevelopment, construction, and reconstruction of land and buildings to support focus of the CIP. Council shall hear in person or by their counsel, solicitor, or agent, any person who claims to be affected by this application. So welcome this evening, and have some information to share this evening.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, the proposed amendments to the affordable and purpose-built housing CIP primarily introduce two new incentive programs to further advance the objectives of the CIP. Introduction of new incentives under a CIP require a formal amendment process, including stakeholder consultation and a statutory public meeting with notice provided 20 days in advance of the meeting, which was issued June 24th. The new incentives proposed include a property tax-based grant and another pertaining to the disposition of township-owned land to support strategic housing projects. In the short term, both will assist the township in working towards its targets established under the Housing Accelerator Fund Agreement with CMHC. In the longer term, the proposed changes will also provide ongoing support to improve the variety in housing available within the township as the community continues to grow. Additional administrative changes are also included, such as an annual update to the maximum rent and household income threshold associated with the existing affordability rental incentive. These administrative changes do not require formal amendments to the CIP, but are included here for timing only in line with the aforementioned proposed amendments. As part of the formal CIP amendment process, the proposed changes have been circulated to a wide variety of stakeholder agencies, First Nations groups, developers, and homebuilders active in the area, as well as posted on the Township CIP website. Staff look forward to compiling all the feedback from this consultation effort, as well as this public meeting, to prepare the final amended CIP for council consideration at their next scheduled meeting. I must also point out an error that we noticed after the amended CIP was posted on the website. And it's also attached in the covering report under the tax increment equivalency grant section on page 22 or PDF page 21. The example reads, an 18-unit low-rise rental apartment is developed on a vacant lot, resulting in a 1.4 million incremental tax increase in property value as assessed by MPAC. Tax increase should be deleted from there. It's a 1.4 million incremental increase in property value. This will be corrected in the final version brought forth.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions at this time for staff? Councilor Willis.
Thank you, through the chair. With the tax incremental equivalent grant, is that attached to the owner or to the property? So if the property sold halfway through the program, would that continue as part of it?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, that incentive is attached to the property.
Okay.
So it is transferable.
And one more, if I may.
Yes.
Will these property owners be required to submit annual paperwork to make sure that they're still meeting the requirements of the affordable rent?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the affordable rent, absolutely, there is an annual occupancy report that's required. The TIG, the proposed TIG has two tiers. So the market rate TIG would not have to fill out the occupancy report showing that the rent levels are at a certain level. But it would apply to if they were getting the higher rate TIG for the affordability requirements.
Thank you.
Councillor Ennis.
Thank you, and through the mayor. As well for the tax incremental equivalent grant, is the policy objective to get projects that may not be financially viable over that last step to becoming financially viable, or is it also targeted to those that are already financially viable?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The TIG is different from the existing incentives, so it could make a difference for those property owners who are holding on to multi-residential development buildings in the long term. It lowers their operating costs. I can't comment if it's going to already necessarily, add to ones that may already go forth, but that is the idea. That is to ones that are close to not being viable, this may make a difference. And we've already had some interest from some developers expressing that.
Any other questions at this time? Seeing none, thank you for providing the information, and we'll just go to the public meeting portion now. So the format that I follow, just for the sake of everyone that's here, we'll open it up in chambers for anyone who wishes to speak to this item. You can come forward. Once you're recognized, you can come forward to one of the chairs. Make sure the mic is turned on so the green ring is on. And that way the virtual audience can hear it as well. Once we're done in chambers, then I'll go to the virtual audience, ask if there's anyone there. And for anyone that is in the virtual audience, if you do wish to speak on any of the items, please just use the raise hand feature so we know to bring you into the audience. So with that, I will open it. If there's anyone that wishes to speak on this item in chambers. Please come forward. Just provide your name and address after you push the button and have the live mic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Council, for having me tonight. My name is Mike Sewell. I live at 45 Country Club Drive in Bath, and I would like to speak to the amendment that was just described here. I do tend to ramble, so I've written some notes, so I'll just stick to that, and just so I'll apologize for reading as opposed to just looking forward. First of all, I do agree with the fact that we have to incentivize folks, so I actually do agree with the incentives, both the disposition of land and the tax rebate incentive program. Housing is definitely a problem in the province, and it's becoming a problem here too in Loyalist. And so I realize that after having read the official plan, that there is a missing middle housing. And what I think we're trying to attempt here is admirable in that sense. From the staff report, though, a couple of things I would like to think about, suggestions perhaps, and or comments. Under a risk for stakeholder implications from the staff report, it talks about potential risk for donating land to a party other than a governing body. And it could be seen as bonusing in contravention to the municipal act, which I can certainly understand that. It could be seen as favoritism to a contractor. I understand that completely. I think probably with some of the partnerships that have been described, that might be avoided. An example given was Habitat for Humanity. But I would also add to that, there's another risk to the township, I believe, that wasn't actually mentioned in your documents. And so under administration, point 5.1 performance indicators, the CIP is not intended to be a static planning document. It's intended to be an evolving plan to promote affordable and rental housing development, redevelopment within the township. Totally agree with that. However, all of these performance indicators are in preparation of occupancy, and not really any of them discuss about after occupancy and the oversight of the buildings in and around the buildings themselves. And given the incentives are for builders, and they're on a sliding scale for up to 15 years, my question is, and then what? So to follow up on the risks and stakeholder implications, I'm asking, what are the back-end operational capabilities and responsibilities to the stakeholders, the tenants, and the adjacent landowners in the township over time? And I'll give you an example. What happens when these incentives have expired? What will the township budget look like? What will be assigned to the long-term management of the buildings, and who will be assigned? There's plenty of local examples currently about the back-end day-to-day oversight in collaborations between Pellis, the county, the township, where collaborated housing projects fall on difficult times. Case in point, the recent fire in the Napanee facility where one resident actually perished. Yes, there were criminal charges were laid. However, the issues surrounding that building leading up to the incident and subsequent to the incident are shockingly opaque. They, and many more just like it, tell a chilling tale of little or no oversight. My ask then, before Loyalist calls their CIP program complete and the amendments accepted, I would like to see some sort of acknowledgement in our performance indicators that also could be amended to include operational outcomes over time, that on-site supervision and management will be built into a staff job description, or it'll be adding clarity to the purpose of public input and the community buildings. And lastly, I'd add, if we're incentivizing builds and discussing oversight, considering performance indicators, there has to be needs to the residents' input as well, and there has to be a clear path for them to register whether there's satisfaction or not. And so in a nutshell, I just think your performance indicators, as well as they're wonderful to have them, they fall short on who's doing what after this thing is actually built. And I can tell you from personal experience, and you don't have to look too far, and the county council talks about this quite frequently, what do we do with these buildings once they're built and things start to happen? And unfortunately, it falls upon the local municipality to deal with these things, or the local landowners have to deal with it. And I think that's unfair. And so I think we can probably build some things into our plan that maybe help us along the way. So it's kind of a long-winded response, but I think we have to be wary for down the road. These are great projects. They're done with well-intention, but what happens after all the incentives and the builders and all of that, the spotlight's off, now we have to actually manage day to day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else in chambers wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, I'll go to the virtual audience. If anyone in the virtual audience wishes to speak on this item, please use the raised hand feature and we will bring you into the meeting.
Through the chair, I'm seeing none.
Okay, thank you. So that concludes the public meeting portion for this. And I know staff were writing as they were receiving. Were there any final comments from staff that you wish to provide, or just the notes are taken? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to follow up. The whole purpose of this is to receive the information, so I want to thank you for bringing it forward. So with that, I'll look to council. There is a recommendation before us. Would someone like to put a motion on the floor, please? Councillor Pryor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, that the report from the Corporate Services Strategy and Innovation Department dated July 14th, 2026, statutory public meeting, proposed amendments to the affordable and purpose-built rental housing CIP will be received, and that following the public meeting, staff shall be directed to finalize the amended CIP for council's consideration at their next scheduled meeting, including feedback received from external stakeholder consultations.
So moved. Seconded by Councillor Budrick. Any comments from the mover? Seconder, other members? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. And moving forward, we have another public meeting, recommendation report, 223-8052 Ontario Limited, Kaitlin Corporation, Loyalist Estates, Phase 14, draft plan of subdivision, D12-014, and zoning bylaw amendment, E14-009-2024. And I'll just read the preamble before we get started. A public meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of 3412 of the Planning Act to consider a zoning bylaw amendment. Kaitlin Corporation, 223-8052, Ontario Limited, has submitted applications for a draft plan of subdivision and a zoning bylaw amendment. The proposed amendment to zoning bylaw 2001-38 as amended seeks to rezone the subject lands from open space to residential type 2 exception 15 holding zone. The residential type 3 exception 23 holding zone and residential type 3 exception 28 holding zone to facilitate the development of 47 single detached dwelling units. Council shall hear in person or by their counsel, solicitor, or agent, any person who claims to be affected by this application. So, welcome staff. You have any additional information to share at this time?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll give a quick overview of the proposed draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment application. So as you stated, the proposal is for 47 single detached dwelling units, each with direct access to a new municipal ring road within the draft plan, which connects to its north to the Country Club Drive. The draft plan also includes a block for an underground stormwater management facility, along with the required road reserves. These lands are already designated low-density residential as per the township official plan and are currently zoned open space as they form part of the golf course lands. The amendment would rezone the land to appropriate site-specific residential zones that would enable development of these lots as proposed by incorporating appropriate site-specific zoning performance standards. The stormwater block will retain the open space zone. A statutory public meeting was held on June 24th, 2025, with a number of public comments received. Since then, the applicant refined the proposal through technical review process. The most notable changes are reduction from 48 to 47 lots proposed to accommodate the underground stormwater facility, and the roads right-of-way reduced from 20 meters to 18.5 meters, which has been found acceptable by Engineering and Public Works Division as per the new township standard. Because both the zoning and the unit count changed after the initial meeting, staff scheduled tonight's additional public meeting and are also presenting a recommendation at the same meeting. The applications were circulated to all internal divisions and external agencies and peer reviewed where required. All technical comments have been addressed and carried into the conditions where needed. Staff have reviewed against the provincial planning statement, both the county and township official plans, and are satisfied the proposal is consistent with and conforms to the policy framework. It represents an efficient, compact form of residential development on full municipal services within the existing urban settlement area, which promotes intensification as per the directions provided under the provincial planning statement and both county and township official plans. Public comments were grouped by themes and responded to in the report, with full submissions attached. In response, staff added specific conditions addressing the construction haul routes and the sequencing of the phases, among other conditions. So for these reasons, staff is recommending the approval of the proposed draft plan and the zoning bylaw amendment application. The applicant planner has also prepared a presentation to provide additional information, and staff are happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time from council? Seeing none, if the next presentation, they're available. Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Great. Thank you very much. So as Avinash had indicated, this is a follow-up to the June 2025 public meeting. Staff have provided a very comprehensive staff report, so this will be a short presentation, and I'll just focus on the minor changes that have been made. Next slide, please. So again, if for anyone that's not familiar with the site, it's up at the north end of the Loyalist Country Club Estates subdivision. It's outlined in red. Next slide, please. And again, just to show it in context of the overall, the phasing, we had to turn it on its side. So north is on your left. The property is outlined in red, and it will ultimately connect into the Country Club Drive east-west leg of that road. Next slide, please. So this is the updated draft plan of subdivision and concept plan. The only difference between the two is that the concept plan shows the actual outline of the proposed building, sightings of the building outlines. The road, as Avinash had indicated, we had the opportunity to reduce the right-of-way from 20 meters to 18.5 in accordance with the town's new standards. It was reviewed and staff determined that it was acceptable in this instance. As you can see, it's a small 47 lot subdivision. It's on a ring road. It's not on a major street. So the 18.5 was considered appropriate. That allowed us to actually to remove some of the site-specific amendments we had originally requested in terms of setbacks and things like that in order to get the house sightings located properly. In addition, we have asked for a reduction in the center line setback, again, because it is a small subdivision, and in this instance, it doesn't have an impact on any traffic. The underground stormwater facility is shown as Block A at the top right. It's in green. That block will be conveyed to the municipality. There is I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's sort of a dotted rectangular space just beside lot 17. That's an access road for municipal staff to be able to get in and out and access that block. The rear of blocks 17 to lot 12 will ultimately back onto the new relocated maintenance building site once that gets when that goes ahead to be relocated. Those lots at the rear will be fenced for privacy purposes and any noise mitigation, which we're not anticipating, but there will be privacy screening in that location. The entrance off of Country Club Drive, you'll note, is 20 meters, only because that was part of a previous phase of the draft plan of subdivision, and that's already a registered block, so we didn't tamper with that. That will, so the entrance into the subdivision will be 20 meters, and then will become 18.5 interior to the site. Next slide, please. This is the proposed zoning schedule. Two of the three zoning categories are existing zoning categories that have been used within the overall community. The R328 is a new one that had just some minor modifications to it, but basically brought it into similar setbacks, development provisions as the others. It will have a frontage a minimum frontage of 13.4 meters. Next slide, please. So here we have just a summary of the three different zone categories. You can see that they are very consistent with each other in terms of setbacks, interior side yard setbacks, exterior side yard, rear yard. The only difference really are the lot frontages and a minor difference with the R215 in terms of height, which has an increase to 11 meters, which is already an existing zone within the area. Next slide, please. So as Avinash had indicated, key takeaways, the lands are already designated for residential development. We're just going through the process to implement that. We're proposing 47 single detached lots on an 18.5 new municipal road standard. It will include sidewalks, which will connect to Country Club Drive. So you're not losing any infrastructure by reducing that right of way. Similar zone categories as earlier phases in the community, and a new stormwater management block, which is to be conveyed to the township. Next slide, please. We have reviewed the conditions that have been provided by the township and commenting agencies based on the most recent draft plan, and we have no issue with those conditions. The draft plan, we have requested the approval to be extended to 5 years from the normal 3 years, just to allow the applicant to fulfill those conditions, since there are a number of phases, as you know, that have been approved recently. We just want to be able to span those clearing of the conditions out so that we can develop in an orderly manner. And that's it. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, any questions to be brought forward at this time? Councillor Wells.
Thank you, through your honor. Could you tell me if any of these units are planned to have additional residential units in the basement? So they would actually be 2-family units?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of that. I have not, that has not been part of our discussion, and I don't believe that they're being, I'm going to say, roughed in to provide for second units in the basement, but I can certainly ask and get back to staff on that. But I believe the answer is no.
Any other questions at this time? Councillor Proderick.
Thank you, and through you. I'm just looking at figure 2 subject sites, and I just want to clarify. So in this phase 14, basically, the company is eliminating what I would call the driving range, if my eyes are right, and part of the what is currently now facility. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this the matter of the driving range came up actually at the public meeting back in June of last year, and the operations of the golf course are handled by the committee, the golf course committee, not by the developer. It's my understanding that that committee is going to be discussing priorities or interests with their members, and they will determine whether an outdoor driving range is preferable, or a modified driving range, or switching to an interior driving range, like a virtual driving range. So that will all be discussed with its members, but through the golf course committee, not through the developer. And with respect to the facility, the intent is that the maintenance building and associated parking is going to get shifted north to the rear of this phase and will be landscaped, screened, and that's to allow for just better layout of the golf course and some parking.
Okay, and again, through you, Mr. Mayor. So I wasn't really, I don't really care about the driving range, really. I was just trying to get sort of the boundaries in my head. What are the plans from the developer in terms of fencing the community off? I know you mentioned, I think, to the south, there'd be chain link or something, but east and west, is that going to be wide open to the golf course like the rest of the development is?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that is correct. There's actually, it's registered on title that no fencing is permitted between the lots and the golf course. In this instance, it was agreed, staff had asked, and we agreed that it was best to screen off the fence with fencing from the maintenance area, as it's not an active golf part of the golf course. So it will be screened off. That will be the only part of the development, sorry, that will be fenced.
Okay, and I just have 2 more quick ones. Could you briefly just reference or refresh in terms of the traffic pressures, what you've done since maybe residents have made suggestions or maybe you call them complaints about the traffic increased vehicle and or construction, what you've done since the first presentation you did?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not, I know that that was being looked at by Kaitlin. I'm not entirely sure what specific items were addressed, but I know that it was taken into account by Kaitlin, but I am sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. And again, when this is built, and again, it's probably should be asking Kaitlin directly, but in terms of replacement of natural environment, you know, clear cutting, et cetera, is there any plan to some kind of landscaping that will bring some trees and sort of a, I'm drawing a blank on the word I need, but tree coverage and increasing sort of not having just a barren land with housing that takes, you know, 35 to 50 years for tree growth. I'm just wondering what the plan might be for that, if there is one.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not, I wasn't part of that original approvals for the earlier phases of the development, so I'm not sure if there had been arrangements for tree compensation through that part of the process. But I do know that there are requirements for street tree planting, and there will be enhanced landscaping as part of the clubhouse improvements and the maintenance building. There will be improved landscaping for screening. And other than that, I'm not aware of the details, but we can certainly look into that. They would have had to have obtained approvals for the removal of the trees that were removed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions at this time? Councillor Willis.
Your worship, and this is probably more for staff. As we're building two-story houses and things, we're attracting a different kind of demographic to this development, families with children. Where is the closest park to this? Because, you know, the golf course is green space, but you don't want children out there with their trucks in the sand trap. So how far is it to walk to a park from this development?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is the golf club property, which is a private recreational property, which is just to the back. Other than that, as of now, there are no parklands that I am aware of. And as a part of this application, because the site is constrained to the south with the golf course and to the north with the phase 12, the applicant has requested 5% cash in lieu. But those funds would be allocated towards future parkland as per the township parks and recreational master plan.
Maybe I can just add in to Avinash. So there are parks to the south down Church Street, of course, around the fire hall as well within Bath proper. As Avinash noted, there is no parks being proposed here, as our parks master plan speaks to larger neighborhood parks which can add on to one another. In this instance, we spoke with our Parks and Recreation department, and they found it not to be appropriate to get a park in this specific instance. So that is why we are not taking a park. Rather, we are working with the developer and taking cash in lieu, 5% of the overall appraisal cost of the development.
Yes.
So the presenter, you mentioned that there's on title, there's a covenant against fences. Will the families that own these houses be able to install swing sets and children's play structures and things like that? Is there any covenant against that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, assuming it's within the parameters of their property, I would say no, there would not be any restriction on that.
Any other questions at this time from council? Councillor Prater.
No, not a question.
Okay. Seeing none, thank you for being here and presenting to council. And we're just going to move forward into the public session.
Thanks very much.
We do have to maintain quorum. Excuse me. We do have to maintain decorum. So please be respectful to staff and to council. We will be respectful to you, okay? So we are moving on into the the public meeting portion. I'll follow the same process with this one as the last one. So if someone wishes to speak to this item, please raise your hand and we can bring you forward to the chair and you can present. Yes, please come forward, push the button so the light comes on, provide your name and address and your information.
Good evening. My name's Larry Laird. I am at 116 Britannia Crescent, adjacent to this proposed building site. I wasn't going to speak tonight. I was going to let others speak and listen, but I can't hold back now. So we have now been shown this subdivision addition for the first time. We were shown a small dot on a map through mail, and that small dot on the map did not include the nine townhouses that you've added to that same open space, and you've made it look as if those two spaces aren't going to take up a lot of space, and they will take up most of number 1 fairway, most of number 1 tee, and all of the driving range. That there is going to bring in much less money to Bath, much fewer people visiting Bath. People aren't coming to Bath to golf without our driving range. Many people come to our golf course for the driving range. I ask you to consider letting the people, the residents and the golfers and the community know that this map needs to be detailed with what you've approved, those 9 townhouses, as well as this subdivision of 47 houses. It has to be properly sized and sent to everybody prior to any approval so that everybody can see the impact of this. My personal feeling, this is the beginning of the end of the golf course. And this will be the beginning of the end of dollars coming into Bath, of customers coming into Bath. And it's a grave concern of mine. So at the very least, let's get a sized map, properly scaled, showing what 9 townhouses you've approved, showing that on the map, showing this proposal of these 47 houses on the map, and then consider it after you've sent everybody that sized map. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that wishes to speak, please come forward. If you sit at the same chair, the light's already on for the mic.
Okay.
Just saves you one step.
Perfect. My name is Jerry Salisbury. I live at 2 Abingdon Drive, and I'm a member of the Ward 2 zone here for Loyalist Township. And I have a few questions just following up, Your Worship and members of council, based on a couple of their questions of council and a comment that one of your staff made as well too. I had a presentation here. I was going to talk about the 47 detached dwellings that are going to be put on the place. Obviously, we've heard that the driving range is going to be eliminated, as well as I think that we're going to see some, this was not brought up this evening, but I feel that we're going to see some changes to the first hole as well of the golf course. So if you're familiar with that, I would anticipate there's going to be some changes to that as well too. Mr. Laird has indicated about the concern about Bath, so I'm just going to reiterate that a little bit about the economical structure that the golf course does provide to the community itself, and the playgrounds that are not being considered for this, which causes me some grave concerns. with grandchildren myself that would like to have those. I think what we did not hear is there's also a playground just located just in the south part of Bath, in the south part of our subdivision down by Highway 33. Big concern about eliminating the driving range initially. As Mr. Laird said, and I'll reiterate this, it's used not just by golfers who are there to warm up for their round of golf. And this gentleman put it very, very well. This counselor put it very well. We're looking at eliminating a driving range that brings in revenue to the golf course and to the community that is transcending to not only the golf course itself, but to our local businesses. When people come to this course, they stop and get gas at gas stations. They stop at local restaurants. They stop at local stores. People may bring their spouses, partners, friends to do some shopping at some of the local stores as well too. That's the heritage part of Bath. And I'm a little concerned about the issue of eliminating this driving range. How is that going to affect major tournaments, major national tournaments that come? They have to have a driving range for anything that they do. And we're now saying, well, we're going to eliminate the driving range. And I'm not sure if the the online presenter is still online. I did hear her say something about there is a committee or the potential for a committee to be put in place or in place to discuss the driving range options, which tells me perhaps there's that opportunity for us to have some say as residents on whether or not this driving range is fully eliminated. And I'm a little confused on what the comment is, so I don't know if we can ask the person that, the presenter that.
If you want to go ahead and finish
Okay, thank
your
you.
questions, and then we can.
Awesome. Okay, good. I'm also concerned we're looking at employment opportunities that look after the driving range that now we're going to eliminate that for youth in our community. We're trying, I know you as a council and your worship, you're trying to promote youth in the community. It's clearly obvious from some of the staff that are up here that the concern is about what do our youth do in our community. And now we're saying, well, let's eliminate a driving range that does employ youth. Why would we do that? It doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, we've heard that there's a potential solution of putting a driving range across County Road 7 with a 9-hole golf course and 900 and some odd homes and a hotel. We have to consider there's legal considerations there of people crossing the road. You can't have golf carts crossing the road and having pedestrians cross the road to go to a driving range and then come back to a golf course. It just doesn't make sense. And with considerations from, are we driving up the potential for collisions or accidents with pedestrians? And I want you to think about that before you approve this amendment tonight. I'm not against, I want to make it very clear, I'm not against development. In fact, I'm all for it. I think development is great. And I think you as a council have a good direction or sense that we have to develop. But let's develop the right type of housing for our particular community. And I want to highlight a few things here that perhaps a question to council, I guess, would be the best way to look at it. Let's look at some communities that are starting to develop housing that is geared towards seniors that perhaps are getting a little older. I'm a senior myself, but perhaps a little older than I am, that need transitional housing that is a little easier to maintain. It's not so difficult for them to take care of it. They're manageable, they're low maintenance. We've seen all types of housing like that within the Napanee area going in, Kingston area. We're at a point now where our community has several people in the area that need to transition to houses that are lower maintenance, not two-story homes. We need single dwelling homes or townhomes or whatever that are level-based. And I don't see that in the plan. And perhaps I'm wrong, but I just don't see that in the plan. Can we look before, if we see, before you approve this amendment, I'd like to see a committee set up within the municipality itself, within our ward, that includes some of those seniors, that includes some of the residents, that includes people of the golf course, the Kaitlin Corporation. They're a very, they're an organization that is building, obviously, within our community. Let's include them. Include our Aboriginal members of our community that may have a vested interest. My point to all this is that we have to look at this, and I know you've had public meetings, but let's set up a committee. What is the rush here? Is there a rush tonight to make a decision to approve this amendment? And my thought process would be no. We've seen something that says we're looking at 5 years down the road, an extension to 5 years. Then if we make a decision tonight, or if you make a decision tonight, isn't that rushing it a little bit? Shouldn't we get a little bit more information? And I think a committee that is set up within this and working with our councillor, I would suggest our councillor within our ward, be on that committee as well, and provide that information to the council and to our municipality and to the residents. And then we're going to get that full embodied information that allows all of us to make a very informed decision. And I'm just concerned at this point, we're not necessarily, we have all the information. I think Mr. Laird put it very well in that we need some more information. I understand you have to make decisions, obviously, as a council. I get that. But do we have to make that tonight, or can we delay this? You do have that statutory right, of course. Can we delay this decision a little bit and just put a committee in place so that the council can hear from all the residents and not just the few that are here? Because our residents are speaking. And I think you as a council need to hear what they have to say and listen to what they have to say. There are a few people that speak up, and some people are not comfortable speaking in public. And I'm not here to represent anybody but myself. But my concern, I think, has been articulated very well. Let's put something in place before this is approved tonight, because once things move ahead, we can't go backwards. And are we moving backwards? I ask you to look at some of the golf courses across Ontario that have closed that started just like this. Perth Golf Course, a developer came in, did not have consultation with the community, and that Perth Golf Course, which by the way is the oldest golf course in Canada, is now closed. Canada Lakes Golf Course, a golf course that was seen as a prestigious golf course within the community, is now closed because of development. I understand I have a time constraint. I won't
was just gonna say,
yeah, I don't. I won't go any
normally you're on for
longer,
it,
but I think it's
feel free to
important you
defend.
hear these points. My whole objective tonight is let's set up a committee before we move ahead with this amendment. And it may not change, but at least you hear all the information, and our ward councillor be involved in that as well too. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to this evening? Please come forward. Again, if you use the same chair, you don't have to turn the mic on. And just it's a different meeting, so if you can just provide your name again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Worship and Council. First of all, my apologies to yourself and staff members. I really apologize for that outburst earlier. That's not what I wanted to convey. I will say, speaking to what I just heard, I have been going door to door actually, because this issue is really contentious, and I have been going door to door to talk to neighbors in Bath, and there are petitions already started, and what I'm hearing from people going door to door has been amazing, but there's a lot of difficulty around this project and the continuing projects that we've been hearing about. And I guess probably that's why I reacted. And so again, it's not an excuse. There's no excuse for me doing that, but again, I will apologize. So I do have, again, a couple thoughts based on what I've heard about the zoning amendments and what I've read. And so in a nutshell, I understand that there's two zoning amendments. There's a zoning amendment again, sorry, for phase 14, and we're converting open space to residential space. And I understand that given it's a ring road. And basically, these amendments are reducing the side yards, they're reducing the front yards, they're reducing the lot coverage, and they're raising the potential to go higher. And so I think I heard this comment already. One of my questions would be, are there future zoning amendments about to come to accommodate future rentals? I don't know. And maybe that's another one of those questions that we might want to consider, because it seems to me that we've kind of already set the table here for another series of amendments, perhaps. Additionally, from the staff report, there's talk about maintaining the on-street parking. And again, that's another one of those interesting conversations around, okay, so we built this ring road situation, but now we're gonna sort of expect folks that there's an on-street parking. And again, is that good? How do emergency vehicles maneuver this sort of thing? And again, I'm not sure in any of this that I've heard or read anything from paramedics or from emergency services about how they would navigate this type of scenario when on-site parking is accepted like that. Just a thought. The question about the trees and the parkland, first of all, landscaping is not parkland. And I will say that from what I did read, again, from both the staff report and from the Tomlinson reports that they attached to it, and there's 119 pages there, but the developer will adhere to a baseline standard of trees. I'm not sure what that means, but that's what the developers agreed to. There will be no parkland, and it will be cash in lieu of parkland. And again, this is one of those moments where I think we need to reflect on cash in lieu of parkland. I'm not sure if that's appropriate, but it also in the report that I read from Kaitlin, parkland was considered not appropriate for this kind of development. And again, who determined it was not which kind of leads to the earlier comment about who's actually coming to these places. And I'll get to that in just a moment. So with these changes, with the road being narrowed, the frontages being narrowed, the possibility of the height being raised, I'm just wondering, will this continue to be a low density, or again, are we preparing to change the density for future ongoing development? Again, I'm not sure. It was unclear, so I'm a little wary about that. Which then brings me to the other question I have regarding who is the actual intended customer, and how does that align with who is actually taking up residence? Are they actually purchased by homeowners? Or are they lifestyle-seeking adults? Are they growing families? And if so, are these new phases then actually being designed to meet the needs of the community? Or are they now, because of many contributing factors, speculators' folly? Is this sustainable? And again, I'm not sure we've answered those questions adequately, either in the 119 pages that provided by Kaitlin. By way of their justification report, Kaitlin believes that they are contributing to a complete community. Are they? And how do we measure that? Again, I'm asking those questions, and did we hear that, or do we know that to be true? Does council believe that they're building a complete community now and for the future? Again, I'm just curious. And then as it goes on, a water distribution. It says in the documents that currently sufficient capacity is possessed by the owner as per a 1996 agreement between the township and Loyalist Estates Limited to allocate to this development as proposed. We're going off a water capacity agreement from 1996. Again, I found that really interesting. Maybe we should take a closer look at that. They also go on to say that this number fluctuates from year to year based on the nature of the agreement. Staff recommend allocating this capacity again, I'm not sure what that means. Whose staff? Who's agreed to allocating this capacity? So have we not done a closer look at this since 1996? And I'm sure we have, and I'm being facetious in that sense. Stormwater management for Block A, still to be conveyed to the township. So I'm assuming that means we haven't really looked at the stormwater management additions yet. And through a proposed underground stormwater management facility. Well, that's wonderful. But so having said that, my question, even before phase 14 or 16 are complete, is Loyalist okay with the current stormwater plan and how it handles current storms and seasonal events? I'm only asking this because I live approximately a couple of houses down from Oakmont and Gulf Links. And in that little newest area of development, I can tell you from personal experience, there are ongoing issues with the collection, capture, and release of stormwater. And how do I know this? The vacuum pumping vehicles are there regularly, and they're hovering over the storm drains consistently. And they do it on Greenhaven, and they even do it on Country Club, and they're constantly having to pull out of those storm drains additional silt after every large weather event, or is it construction debris? I'm not certain, but they abound. And to add to that, on both on Country Club and also on Greenhaven and most recently over on Gulf Links, excavation. They routinely excavate the street to access the pipes to get the pumping units in there. As a matter of fact, they were there just 2 weeks ago, and they dug up a portion of both Gulf Links and I can't remember the other, Oakmont. And again, this is ongoing. So I'm wondering, the storm management report they've given, is that adequate? And do we want to take a closer look at that? Because we do have evidence that it's not working, in my estimation. We have a stormwater collection pond right behind several houses between the newest development of Oakmont and Main Street. And there's a pond back there that at any given time, it's stagnant, it's not aerated, and it goes from different levels of sediment. And you can see it yearly. Is that the stormwater management plan? And where does that go when it gets filled? From my viewpoint, it's going straight into Lake Ontario once it overflows. Where's the treatment of that water? And I think we just need to look at those a little closely. So again, I would ask you if we take a closer look at the stormwater management report. And again, in talking to some of the local residents just yesterday, and I went door to door, and I'm continuing to go door to door, these are the kinds of things I'm hearing from them. That they're concerned about stormwater management, water distribution, who's actually coming, and what are we doing to help those folks? So anyway, thank you very much. And again, Your Worship, I'm really sorry for speaking out of turn earlier on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for the apology. It's appreciated.
Sorry about that, mate.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this item this evening? Please come forward. I'm just going to mention, because some of them have gone on quite a while. Okay, you know that there is a 3-minute, and I try to be lenient so that we can hear everything. But if we can keep it concise, then we can get through everyone. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Wilma Pettingill, and I live in Bath on Loyalist Golf Course and am a member of the Bath community. I spoke at your last July 23rd council meeting. This meeting is a repeat of that one, just a different location on the golf course. Council has the opportunity again tonight to vote down the decision of changing open space on the golf course as outlined to residential for 47 additional high-end homes. Council has the opportunity to vote for their Ward 2 members and against a builder only interested in, my opinion, in monetary gain. Bath is a small village community, and many of the golf course and Bath residents bought and live here for that very reason. Those of us who live on the golf course and those who don't are directly and indirectly impacted by the proposed building of these homes. The impact will demonstrate itself in loss of premium views paid for, wildlife displaced, green space and wetlands destroyed, unnecessary removal of plants and trees, increased traffic, noise levels, more power outages, and water levels decreased. We are not opposed to affordable housing in the community, but more high-end homes when there are homes seemingly empty. The rate of growth needs to be sustainable and meet the services available. After the last council meeting, it was shared that the frequent power outages are a result of our infrastructure and not system capacity. June 30th and July 1st, approximately 240 homes and the golf course clubhouse were impacted for days. Is this infrastructure? Is this due to increased capacity, the building? If our infrastructure cannot support the homes currently here, how can building more be a responsible decision? On July 23rd, council members voted for the zoning change even after expressing they understood our concerns as taxpayers living in the Bath community. I want my tax dollars to go to support the people who live in Bath and what is best for our community. A no vote tonight will send a message of support to the members of the Loyalist Golf Club and the Bath community. In listening to the presentation earlier, there seemed to be some outstanding unanswered questions. For example, the parkland question. I encourage council to vote no to this zone change. Take a step back, as was mentioned by other speakers, from the golf course proposed developments. Hold some more community meetings now that the community is more aware of the actual building intentions and the impact. Now is the time to get informed input, not a year ago with minimal details. This is the time to listen to all the stakeholders before a decision is made. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping it in time, Tim. Is there anyone else in chambers that wishes to speak to this item? Please come forward. Have a seat, and if you can just provide your name, then you can provide us the information.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name's Louise Sweet, and I live at 125 Greenhaven Court. I have just two comments I'd like to make, and the first one revolves around the construction traffic and the haul routes for this proposed phase. As you probably heard, existing Country Club Drive coming up from Main Street carries all the construction traffic for the construction of the phase, which is now called Royal Oak. It is at the north end of Country Club, the very end, as well as any ongoing kind of, they finished up Greenhaven, but now they're finishing on that next to the north. So the residents who live on Country Club from, we'll call the west leg, have experienced for years and could undergo much more construction traffic, given that Country Club will be extended over to meet the existing Country Club, right, from Loyalist Boulevard. So I guess my concern is that there would be more a specific condition of draft approval that the whole route for Phase 14 come in from Church Street and Loyalist Boulevard and Country Club along Hole 1. It's a smaller distance, and I think it's about time we get the construction traffic off of the west side of Countryside Road. Now, my understanding is the water and the sewer have to come from the west, from the north end of the west, the north end of the west part of Country Club Drive. So my fear is as Kaitlin's building their services over to Phase 14, they'll put in a road, there's our whole route. And so we won't see the whole route come in off of Loyalist. And finally, I'd like to just reiterate why, with this community changing and it's evolving and it's wonderful to have a change and to have children, why there isn't going to be dedicated park space within this phase. The closest public park is Centennial Park, I believe, at the lake. Yes, there is a school parkland, but that's not public space. And it's a long way for children to go to get to a playground. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in chambers that wishes to speak to this item this evening? See, in the back row, did you have your, oh, sorry, second back row. Please just provide your name and then share your information.
I'm Beverly Hallman. I live at 483 Main Street in Bath. I just wanted to make two comments because the first one is about the playgrounds. Across the street from me is the subdivision called Legacy Homes. They paid the money to not have a playground in there. They are chock-a-block together. The kids will have nowhere to go except out onto 33 Highway to go down to the park, Centennial Park. And if you continue to take money in lieu of playgrounds, we won't have any playgrounds in Bath at all. There's a lovely playground in Bath, but it's not accessible. The second thing is I live down by the lake. I believe I'm one of the lowest houses in Bath. Before I moved in there, they had a overflow situation where all the sewer, sludge, etc., backed up into the basement of this house, the house I now live in. We haven't had that problem again, but it is a very good possibility that that would happen. Plus, as I'm one of the lowest houses, stormwater just running off the roads will inundate my property. So I'm very concerned about that. And those are my 2 points for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in chambers who wishes to speak to this item this evening? Seeing you already did speak.
It was a minute and a half, like my other minute and a half, if I could. Please.
That was a minute and a half.
Mine was the shortest of these two, that's for sure.
Typically, it's only once.
Okay. Any objection?
I'm trying to follow the procedural bylaw just as close as I can. If I stray too far from it, then it can be questioned. So that's why I'm hesitating.
If council would like a speaker to go for more than the 3-minute piece, we would have to have a vote of council.
Okay.
Which would need to be presented by a member of council.
Councilor Pryor.
I would move that we waive the procedural bylaw so the gentleman could have another 90 seconds.
Okay. Do I have a second? Councilor Booker. Any comments from the mover?
No.
Seconder? Other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Please proceed.
Thanks very much.
I will ask you to just try and keep it brief.
It'd be very brief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors, for that opportunity. In 3 short hours, the concern of our residents was shown in a petition that I'd have over 100 signatures of. And that was for us to revisit this, to look at this and make sure that we don't rubber stamp this too quickly. Knowing that the size of the houses have changed on several different locations in our subdivision, both real estate people that sell in our, Liz White and Ted Custins, I've spoke to them and they said much harder sell. These 2-story homes are much harder sell in our area. Yes, we have a bus system. The bus system only goes up 33 and then goes up Country Club 1 kilometer, comes back down Country Club and gets out of town. And I say gets out of town because that's exactly what several people have said to us. It's like the bus system comes in and gets out of town quickly. So it doesn't go through any subdivision in Bath. So I question, is that a bus route? These multi-family dwellings are happening all over. We talked about basement apartments, and OPP, I've talked to them. They have considerable amount of traffic now coming in the evenings. They have multiple homes. I know of one house that has 3 families in it. Whether that's right or wrong, they have 3 families in it. We need to not have that. And if it is, it has to be properly done. So in asking you to postpone this, I'm asking you to postpone the loss of jobs and loss of revenue throughout Bath. That's going to happen with the pass of this, so please postpone it. At least postpone it, if not, turn it down. Thanks very much for your time, and thanks for doing this. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Any other speakers this evening that wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, I will go to the virtual audience. If you're in the virtual audience and you wish to speak to this item, please use the raised hand feature, and we can bring you into the meeting.
Through the mayor, I'm seeing none.
Okay. So that concludes the portion of public input in the meeting. I'm just going to turn back to staff, and is there any follow-up comments or anything you wish to share?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll try to capture and comment on as much as I can. I have taken thorough notes, but if I miss somewhere, Andrea, James, and please feel free to ask me the follow-up questions.
Okay.
Starting with the 9 townhouses for phase 16 and 47 single detached residential units. For phase 14, it should be noted that these lands are privately owned by the developer. As such, they are also already designated phase 16 being medium density residential and phase 14 being low density residential, which means official plan inherently permits the proposed use. It is just a matter of time when the developer wants to proceed with the development. The second thing brings me to the driving range removed concern, which Angela also shared some thoughts. I'll just reiterate and add some additional information. Driving range and associated maintenance building forms a part of golf course and country club lands, which is a private property beyond the legislation of the municipality. As I already stated that it's a privately owned space. As well, the portions for phase 14 and 16 on the privately owned land is anyways designated for residential use. So that was already in place in the official plan. Municipality, other than regulating the use, is permitted and basically needs to make sure that the use being practiced complies with the planning legislation and cannot control if something stays or gets removed on a private property. As a part of the rezoning application for a concurrent site plan amendment application for the clubhouse expansion that happened last year, it was mentioned by the consultant planner that the decision to remove the driving range has been made by the Clubhouse Members Association. The relocation of the maintenance building will be handled through the subsequent site plan amendment application, for which the rezoning application has already been approved last year and is in place. As such, the member of the public will need to work directly with the owner of the property and the association to make sure further arrangements or any specific arrangements be made for the driving range. In regards to the playground, I think we already captured the questions initially. Just to provide further comments, we hear what public are saying in regards to the requirement for the parkland. But the case with this application is the land has already been designated. It is not a master plan. Rather, it is a phase of already approved master plan, which was approved by the province. I already stated that the lands are constrained with phase 12 to the north and the surrounding private golf course property around it. That provides very little space based on the area for the parkland, which is counterintuitive of what our recreation and parks master plan requires. As such, recreational division has provided us that cash in lieu be taken. But once we have any future plans, these funds which have been acquired through this application and the prior applications that were questioned will be utilized towards the parkland. It's a matter of future time period to happen. In regards to the point being brought for senior housing and transitional housing, I think today's application is specifically for single detached freehold units, which is beyond the scope of that. But if in the future, if any proposals for senior housing or transitional housing is brought forward to staff from developer, we would be reviewing it as efficiently as we try to review this application. So that is for that. Consultation with indigenous communities have been done. After the first meeting, we did another meeting with Alderville indigenous community, and they requested additional studies being done, the scoped environmental impact assessment and species at risk, and stage 1 and stage 2 archaeological studies. All these studies have been done, and supportive results in terms of the development have been provided. In terms of the rush and delaying of the application, I just want to state that these are privately owned land. What has been proposed complies with Planning Act, provincial planning statement, and the entire planning legislation in general. The applications needs to be processed in accordance with the Planning Act guidance. So that's just or the requirements. So that is just I want to add in regards to the rush and delay point. What I'll do is I'll club up the construction difficulties point raised and the construction haul routes and phasing of the development, which a later speaker mentioned together. So in regards to the construction haul routes, as I stated before, in response to the comments raised by the member of public and the way the development has been proceeded in the past, staff have specifically added a condition as a part of the draft plan approval that requires construction traffic routing and control, along with dust control and erosion sediment control during the construction. This condition will enable the municipality to control the construction haul routes. As such, for phase 14, the proposed haul route would be from the west, from Church Street to the Loyalist Boulevard, to north to the Country Club Drive, which is the shortest distance and as what one of the member of public flagged. Staff are also in active contact with the developer to encourage best construction practices to be followed on the site during the construction. Members of public are always welcome to reach out to the staff should they have any questions, concerns with the construction activities being practiced on the site at the time of the construction. In regards to the rental units, second units, who would be the end user of the properties, as I stated before, these are single detached residential units, would be freehold land lots. Anyone can purchase it, anyone can rent it. As per the amendment to the Planning Act, as of right, 3 units on fully serviced municipal lot is permitted, but that is subject to the parking requirements. For phase 14, all the properties have 2 parking spaces, inclusive of the integrated garage, which is for sure, and only a few would have space for the third parking, which is a main requirement for a secondary unit to be created. So the last point would be that zoning cannot regulate or planning cannot regulate who owns the land, who cannot own the land. who can rent the land, who cannot rent the land. So it is beyond the scope of the zoning horizon. I think in regards to the water distribution, the sewage backup and stormwater management, I'll leave it up to Luke to comment once I'm done with my comments. In regards to comment raised for the electricity and energy being available, the proposed development application since the beginning have been circulated to all the utilities companies, Hydro One, BAL, Canada Post, etc. Everyone, and no one have provided any concerns or any restrictive comments on the proposed development. I think the only thing that I will like to say, the last point is for the 2 stories compared to 1 story point that was brought forward. I think the subject lands, as I said, is already designated low density residential, which permits the use. The request to rezone the proposed 47 lots to respective residential zones are in line with already approved zoning for phase 11, phase 12, and phase 13 within the existing communities. It should be noted that the generic R2 and R3 zone that was implemented back in 2001 already permits 10 meters of the building height. The R3-23 and R3-28 zones does not even request for any additional increase in height. It is just the R2-15 zone that only needs 1 meter relief to facilitate taller interior ceiling heights as requested by the developer. The zone is already implemented before for those phases. So as such, with 10 meters being what the generic lots are permitting, there always had been ability to go to 2-story. It's just a matter of the way the developer proceeded. Before in the past, the market was different. Now, based on the changing market conditions and the design form, we see more 2-story buildings being proposed. But the zoning since 2001 already permitted 10 meters as of right. So just wanted to flag that. Let me quickly. Yeah, I think, okay. The only point I missed was for the reduced road right-of-way to 18.5 meters, which was brought forward by one of the member of public. So just to mention that 18.5 meter is a recent township standard being implemented, which represents a modest reduction from 20 meters to 18.5 meters, which is appropriate, especially in case for small, comparatively low traffic and single access ring road development, which has been proposed as a part of phase 14. This will also enable the future residents with comparatively more usable yards. There is no future potential for the ring road to be expanded because, as I said, to the south is the golf course and to the north is phase 12. So the 18.5 meter was supported, and also both engineering division and public work division have provided supportive comments on it. So I think I tried to cover as much as I can, but if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask me, or if James or Andrea wants to fill in the blank. Thank you.
Thank you. And did you wish to address the stormwater management question?
Yes, thank you very much through you, Mr. Mayor. So there's a couple points I'll address. I'll start with the stormwater management and then go to a couple other comments from some of the residents who spoke. So in terms of the stormwater management, when we're reviewing draft plan, we receive a conceptual plan and a stormwater management report that outlines that the eventual development will comply with the various provincial regulations in terms of quantity and quality control. So that's looking at both sediment and things like that from the roads that are washing through this facility, as well as the amount of water that's going to be going through there to make sure that it complies with the treatment levels as prescribed by the regulations. During draft plan, that's reviewed at a conceptual level to make sure that the property that's proposed can accommodate that type of facility. And then once the subdivision moves forward to detailed design, that's when we start to get more of those in-depth details for construction purposes, which is the standard approach that we take with all subdivisions in the municipality. All neighboring municipalities take this approach of concept level at draft plan, as well as detailed design to follow, and across the province it's standard. So staff have reviewed both with our public works team in terms of access and maintenance, as well as what's being proposed, and have no concerns with what is proposed at this time. In terms of some of the other comments, so there was just some questions around the water capacity agreement from 1996. So that is the agreement that the Village of Bath signed with the developer Kaitlin, where Kaitlin purchased and paid for the upgrades at the water and wastewater treatment plants. So they own the capacity, or a portion of the capacity, in the Village of Bath. And so while that agreement dictates how and when that capacity can be used, staff do review what capacity is available. We do this review both annually as part of our township-wide review for all facilities, as well as with every submission we get for a development. And staff have reviewed that agreement and the general functioning of the plant, and have no concerns with the allocation of that capacity. The couple other points just in relation to, I'll say, construction issues on a neighboring subdivision, Golf Links and Oakmont Drive. Yeah, staff acknowledge that there have been ongoing challenges with that development. So there's been a number of excavations to fix pipes that have sagged. There's concrete curb issues, asphalt issues in there. The way the township handles these ongoing challenges is the developer is responsible for paying for the construction of all the roads and sewers and everything within the right of way. The township maintains securities on the subdivision agreement. So the developer, they give us a letter of credit or cash or whatever form of security as following our policies at the township. And we don't release those securities until we assume the infrastructure that meets the township standards. So to date, we have not assumed the Golf Links or Oakmont Drive because of these infrastructure issues that the developer is working to fix. We have been pressuring them to resolve that quickly, but it has been a challenge with a number of ongoing issues that have occurred. And until such a time as we assume that, we will not release the securities. So totally acknowledge that that has been an ongoing challenge, and I'm sure it's a frustration for residents, and I assure you we are pressuring the developer to move on that as quickly as we can. Yeah, those were my 3 points to address. Happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. Council, any further questions for staff? Councilor Booger.
Through the mayor, probably for Avinash, and I'm not sure if you will be able to answer it, but this was probably done with the Village of Bath. But the original development master plan that was done, you said there was no parkland in their master plan. I know it was probably done when the golf course first went in. Is that something that we could go back and revisit?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the current focus of the application was phase 14, and as you stated, it's not on the top of my mind. We might have to look into it. What I tried to say when I made that comment was, this is just a phase of a bigger plan. If it was to be a master plan, then for sure, instead of cash in lieu, we would be willing to get the actual parkland for public. But because this is a small portion of a bigger picture and the land are constrained, the developer has requested 5% cash in lieu as compared to the parkland. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Willis?
Several.
Okay.
On that though, because we spoke about the master plan being done in 1996, 97, before Loyalist was even a township. And at that time, I'm assuming what was planned was a golf course community that this all started out in, and it's morphing, and that things change in 30 odd years. Are we able, in order to force a conversation with the developer, to have them set aside substantial parkland space that we could use that cash in lieu to create something that's for children, because children live here now? Can we attach a condition, because we keep seeing tiny little bits, tiny little phases, none of them would support a park. But can we attach a condition to one of their phases that requires them to have that conversation with us to identify some space that we could have a substantial park in this development, rather than, because it's going to be needed more and more as we're developing this way. So that's just a comment, if we could consider that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So phase 14 and 16 are kind of unique. They have not received draft plan approval up until yet, as compared to the other phases which already received draft plan approval back in 1990s, where this initially happened. And that was also approved by the province, if I'm not wrong. And the parkland and the rules then would have already been taken into the consideration. So those phases in the past, I am not 100% sure what was the matter on the parkland, as I stated before. But for the case with phase 14 and 16 is the land constrained nature of those phases.
I understand that. Kaitlin owns a lot of land. So help me out, Andrea.
Yes, through your worship to Councillor Willis. The one thing I'd say, unfortunately, we have to consider this individual application, and we have a parkland dedication bylaw, which specifically speaks to, either 5% of cash in lieu or parkland dedication, and there's a certain rate that's calculated. So that would be a small percentage of that land that they could give the space, and due to the constraints on the site, we can't take it on this particular parcel. So we can't attach a condition on this particular subdivision to ask for parkland for, say, somewhere else, or to try to get them into discussions, because we have to look at this particular application as a whole and to try to seek more parkland from them outside of what the Planning Act will let us take, or outside what the parkland dedication bylaw will let us take.
Okay, thank you.
Carry on.
Carry on. Avinash and Luke answered many, many of my questions, but if I could just take a moment to review. There was discussion about having committee meetings and community input and things like that, but just review for us, if you would, that the point that Avinash was making about this is private property, and people own property and they can develop it as they will if they meet the standards. And just that process that we go through as a township. I know people misheard last time we talked about this, that what we were saying is we don't want to spend legal money to fight this. But, my understanding from our past experiences is it's not that we don't want to spend legal money to fight this. We don't want to spend legal money that we know we're going to lose a fight for. So if one of you could talk about that process and how it works.
Yeah, so as Avinash noted, we review under the provincial policy statement as well as the official plan. So if we review the application against those, and if in our professional opinion it meets those policies, then we provide a recommendation to you. So based on that, we have reviewed all of the documents that guide land use planning in Ontario and in this municipality. And we provided a recommendation, our professional recommendation, that it does meet those, and therefore we're recommending approval. And so that's where we stand today. If it were to be appealed, that would be a situation in which they would review and see, based on our professional opinion, if they agree with it.
And just the other piece to add in regards to, setting up a committee and so on, and Avinash alluded to this a bit, but under the Planning Act, we do have set timelines to make a decision on applications. So this one for a zoning amendment is 120 days, which we are already well beyond. So deferrals and so on, just to make council aware, the applicant is already in their right to make an appeal for council not making a decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. And as James alluded to, they consider the same test that we have in our report about conformity with the official plan in consistency with the provincial planning statement.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Councillor Pryor.
Wrong button. I just have a few questions for staff, and if you can't answer it, that's fine, because some of them are financial, but in terms of 5% cash in lieu in this project, can you put a dollar value on that or give me a ballpark on that? I'm just interested to see what we've got there.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's based on the appraised value. As of now, it has been provided as a condition of the draft plan approval. Once we are close to the final registration of the draft plan, at that time, it is my understanding that appraisal needs to be done. And at that time, the 5% value would be determined on that value of the land then.
If I could just follow up on that. So on the value of the land with housing on it or before? Or before?
Before it.
All right. And I think one question's already been answered. Just give me a second here.
We've got scribbling everywhere.
Yeah, I know. It's just,
You do too.
it's just, I have some comments, but I think those will wait till the end.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, I'm good right now.
Okay. Councillor Willis?
One more. If I may. You talked about the width of the road and that it was reviewed by Public Works. Was it also reviewed by Emergency Services? Because there was a question about ambulances and fire trucks getting through.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it was also reviewed by Emergency Division.
One last one, Councillor
Yeah.
Perez? Oh, you're just turned your mic off.
Yeah,
There you go.
it just hit me. A basic question, and I've wanted to know the answer to this question for 26 years now. Who owns the golf course? Do we know? That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Company or development company and the golf company. Who owns the land of the golf course company? Who owns the development has to be bought from the golf company to the other land.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Councillor Boudreau.
Just to piggyback on Councillor Product's question earlier, the value of the land, is that serviced or unserviced before? Just because I know the value would go up.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's unserviced, like the raw value of the land at that time.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from council? I just have one. I have one that it goes with the stormwater management. And if you did mention it, I missed it. There was some comments about like when the silt builds up and everything, what happens and everything. Am I correct that that block is transferred to the township so the township can monitor the sediment and the effectiveness of it against the provincial requirements, and that the township would be responsible to maintain it and remove silt at such time that it was required?
That's correct, yeah. The township will assume long-term maintenance and operation of that following construction. And as part of that process, we'll get an operations and maintenance manual from the manufacturer, and it will form part of our environmental improvements for stormwater management with the province. So we'll follow all the requirements that are dictated from those documents.
Okay, thank you. I think all of my other questions have been answered through the different discussions. So, no further, Councilor Parks?
Thank you. Just for clarifications for staff, when we were talking about the secondary units in the possibility of them being established in this, it's governed by parking requirements for the homes. Could you just clarify that again? I missed some notes on that.
So through you, Mr. Chair. So as per the current provisions of the township zoning bylaw. For the first unit, which is a primary residential unit, 2 parking spaces are required. And for every additional legal second unit, 1 more. For third unit, 1 more. So like every additional unit, you'll need 1 more parking. So for someone to have 3 units, they'll need 4 parking.
Thank you, and thank you for for answering all the other questions. I had many notes, but they were already answered, so.
Very good. Okay. Thank you for the presentation and for the follow-up answers and comments. And so with that, I turn to council. Do we have the resolution that we can put on the screen? That's the recommendation, just to save reading if they choose so to. There's just a lot of parts and everything else in the resolution to read. So the recommendation is on the screen. I would turn to council for a motion. It can be what's recommended. And if you do that, it can be moved as per presented on the display, or any other motion that you wish to enter this evening. So I turn to council. Is there a motion that you wish to put on the floor? I'll ask a second time. Is there a motion that council wishes to put on the floor for this item? Councillor Willis?
I will move.
The motion is
The
presented.
motion
to the
as
screen.
presented. Sorry, yes.
So moved. Do I have a seconder? Oh,
Possible ask a question now.
question for clarification? Yes.
What happens if this motion is defeated?
I will look at staff to just confirm what I think it is.
If this motion were to be defeated, it would be a no decision, rendering the application dead. And then, yes, obviously the applicant would have the ability to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal.
Yes. Okay, thank you. That was your question as
Yeah.
well? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so just backing up then. So we do have a motion on the floor. I did call once for a seconder. I'll call a second time. Is there a seconder? Councillor Parks? Mover, any comments? Please.
I've heard all of it. Absolutely. I feel for you. I've been in a position where there's been development around me that I wasn't happy with, but I also have a responsibility to the entire township, and I can't put us in a position where we're going to be sued and lose, and the development will go ahead anyway. So that's why I've made the motion.
Seconder?
I just share the same sentiments as Councillor Willis.
Other members of council? Any comments? Councillor Ennis?
Just to echo the others, that I don't want to go to the tribunal on this. I think staff have made their recommendation that it's in line with the provincial planning statement and the Planning Act. The similar zoning is already in place around it. We've done this before where we've gone to the tribunal. In my view, it was this has less, even in my sort of non-engineer, non-planner council view, perhaps even less of a chance than the one that we tried on. So I just don't think it would be a good use to decline it and end up at the tribunal and in appeal. Thank you.
Any other members of council wish to speak to this? Councillor Broderick?
I'm just going to make a few comments. Listening to all the discussion here, I believe what Mr. Laird said and I forget which one of you, that this could be the beginning of the end of the golf course. And I think it's interesting, unless somebody here, and I'm not aware of, there've been really no representation from the golf course on this. I have a fairly good background in golf course management, over 35 years. So I know the ins and outs, and the economics of a golf course right now, since COVID, they're really good. But the thing is, I believe one of you alluded to the driving range. And again, private owner, somewhere, that's why I asked the question, who owns what? Because obviously this was developed at first as a golf course community. It's changed in terms of the demographics of the people that are living there. And somebody, and I'm a former teacher, so I heard this, and I thought somebody in the crowd said this, that yes, you nailed it. Different covenant for different situation. So, you know, I also live on a golf course community sometimes, and we have covenants, you know, you can't do this, can't do that. So those are questions that, again, should have been maybe made with the golf course ownership, and we have the golf course representative of the golf course, so they have a subcommittee making these decisions. Mr. Salisbury mentioned crossing roads and, you know, down the road, and Picton Golf Course does that. There's plenty of examples, not safety, but there are plenty of examples of it around. I do wish we could get a firmer grip on a park in that area. The last thing I would say is provincial planning statement. That's what rules this, and unfortunately, we have to respect that. That's a provincial mandate, and you know, 2 units on some houses, 3 in some. Those are things that the current provincial government has mandated that are okay in a sense, and we are municipal and we have to follow provincial regulations.
Thank you. Councillor Boudreau.
Just a statement that I'm a little disappointed that back 30 plus years ago that the Village of Bath did not put in their development any mandated parkland.
Any, Councillor Parks?
I just want to be very clear to the audience. There is no legal grounds for council to deny this application. I understand where everyone's coming from. Nobody wants development or possibly a different type of development, but there is no legal grounds for council to deny this application.
I think everyone has had an opportunity to speak. Okay, go back to the mover for final.
Nothing.
That, call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion has passed. And I do realize that most of the audience was here for that item, so if you do wish to leave and not stay for the rest of the meeting, I understand. I would just ask that you please leave quietly. We will be continuing our meeting. Thank you, Mike.
I was going to say to council, or before we're done, if you don't mind, we respect it and make a decision. That's what we want. Not that we agree with it, but we respect the fact that having a possibility. So thank you for at least explaining your side.
Thank you.
I didn't see Brian there.
Brian's up next. Legion 100. Yep. Well, maybe he can do that too. You gotta, wait a minute, Brian.
There's one more item that I have to go through. I don't think it's going to be used, but I have to do open forum.
You can sit there.
Okay, so you can just stay there. Just letting it quiet.
Well, it's a lot of talk, eh? And you know what? Nobody up here, you know, when you move into the golf course community, sorry, it's pretty obvious. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna refill. Okay, so we're going to move on through the agenda. The next item is open forum. Anyone that wishes to speak on an item that is on the agenda can speak under open forum, and it is for a 3-minute period. So in chambers, I don't think there's anyone. Is there anyone that wishes to speak under open forum? I believe everyone is here for the delegation. Seeing none, I'll go to the virtual audience. If there's anyone in the virtual audience that wishes to speak under open forum, please use the raised hand feature so we can bring you into the meeting.
Through the chair, I'm seeing none.
Seeing none, thank you. So that concludes open forum, and now we will go to delegations, the 100th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Legion. So please, yes, you've turned your mic on. Please go ahead and provide us with your input.
Mayor Hagedorn and council members, I thank you for the opportunity to talk about something that's dear to my heart. July 17th, 1926, in an act of parliament, the Royal Canadian Legion was given assent. The mandate of that was to assist veterans and their families when they needed help, but also there was a attachment to help the communities. The Royal Canadian Legion Branch 623 in Bath and area, and I should tell you how that got its name. When we were formed, Bath was an incorporated village on its own, and Ernesttown Township was the surrounding area. After amalgamation, we all joined together and we're all part of Loyalist Township. The mandate is still there. It has increased tenfold for the community, and our branch has been part and parcel with that problem in the township as far as lacking money for different programs for people. Our branch has sponsored every sport in this township from day one: hockey, soccer, ball, you name it, and we've been there. We've sponsored seniors. We sponsored different organizations with their campaigns, the Lions Club and Boy Scouts and things like that, down to visiting our veterans and our seniors in homes in the area at Christmas time. And I wished you could see some of those faces when we go in with their presents. And it's not the presents, folks. They want to talk. They want to talk, and they have stories like you would not believe. Anyway, getting back to my presentation, on Friday, the 17th, Dominion Command has mandated that we have an open house. And for that, we're going to have a barbecue that will be free. There will be some vendors, and I'm not sure who's coming, but there are face paintings for the kids. It's an open house for all members of the community. It will last all day. There will be music. To start it off, there will be a ceremonial wreath laying at our cenotaph. It would only be one wreath to honor our fallen veterans. It would be a short ceremony. But with the township's support I've seen in the last year, and I go back to Mayor Hagedorn with the Remembrance Crossing at Fairfield Park, that was amazing. Everybody who was there and the members of our branch, they drove over to see it. And it was quite an inspiring situation we were in that morning. But and basically that's it, is to have an open invitation to all of you and to all the public to come and visit with us. We have some displays of artifacts from Second World War and I do believe there was something coming from the First World War, but I'm not sure yet. But anyway, and that's my presentation, and I thank you very much.
Thank you for providing that information. And I'll just turn to council. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Willis.
What time is that at?
I'm sorry. The wreath laying will be at 11. It's the same as our Remembrance Day service. And that'd be it. And then the rest goes all day. So if anybody would, any council members, we may throw a few challenges at you. Cornhole toss, washer toss. Yeah, come on out. I'll show you something. And horseshoes. You got to throw a horse though. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Thank you for the chuckle. Councillor Parks. Sorry,
That's okay.
I'm just going through all of council, make sure everyone has any questions.
I just wanted.
Councillor Parks?
I just wanted to say I'm not going to be able to attend. I will be out of town, so unfortunately I won't be there. I'm sure my husband will probably pop in. It's nice to see the Legion starting to come back in the Bath or Mulhaven Legion, whichever you want to call it, 623. So it is nice to see that, and I think that has to do with the new executive and the involvement of the people that are in the Legion. So I just wanted to say congratulations. I think this is great.
Our troubles are well documented in the area. We did close our doors for a couple of months, but we're back in business and we're hitting on all 8 cylinders right now. I have to tell you that, right? We have a dedicated core of volunteers who are the same belief as me. They believe in the Legion, and we're at a point right now where we're so busy. We're running out of people because we're mandated by provincial command to only have volunteers working. So we can't hire any permanent people, and it's difficult. And it's that core of people who are really doing a job and making a difference. But you have to be dedicated. I am the president right now, and I am a life member of the Royal Canadian Legion. I've spent over 50 years in that branch, and we're determined not to let it close. Trust me. Councillor Lorna, pass the word to the Islanders, eh? Yeah, they may be a rowdy bunch, but they're welcome.
Other members of council have any comments or questions?
I will say, Councillor Buderick is one of the recipients of the Legion. He played minor hockey. I've seen him when he was this high.
Now you've got to say something.
No, I do. And the delegation does know that, because we've had this kind of conversation that holds a little bit of a spot for me since my son has enlisted and is waiting to head off to basic training to join the Navy. So yeah, it's going to be part of it.
Very good. Any other comments? I just want to thank you for coming this evening, providing us the information and for the invitation. And it is great to see the Legion thriving. It is a staple within the municipality, and it's great to see it, like I said, thriving. The struggles were documented, and now they're behind you. And that's great to see.
We are on the road to riding the boat, my nautical things there, but yeah, it's and I say it's all because of the people that are there, and come out and enjoy them because they're more than willing to help you and have where it should be a fun day.
Sounds good. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, I would entertain a motion to receive the delegation. Councillor Prodrick, so moved, seconded by Councillor Budrick. Any comments from the mover?
I didn't want to sort of break the solemnity of it, but do old people get face painting too?
I will show up for that one to see yours. Seconder, any comments? Other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. So you're welcome to stay, or if you would rather, that's very understood. Thank you for being here. So next up, 2026 long-term borrowing bylaw. And welcome. Do you have any additional information to share this evening?
I don't think so tonight, Mr. Mayor. I think the report's fairly straightforward, but happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you. So council, we do have a recommendation before us. Would someone like to make a motion? Councillor Prodrick.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move that the report from Finance Division dated July 14th, 2026, re 2026 borrowing bylaw be received, and that council approves bylaw 2026-40 to authorize the borrowing of $1,600,000. Oh, sorry, I wish it was a million. $11,600,000 for Infrastructure Ontario, and that council authorizes the mayor, clerk, and treasurer to execute the necessary agreements to secure the funding.
So moved. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Parks. Any comments from the mover?
No.
Seconder? No. Other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion has passed. Thank you. Partners in Mission Food Bank Community Grant Application, additional information. Welcome. Did you have anything additional to share this evening?
I don't have anything to add, just to note the report is for information and the decision is included in the minutes of the committee.
Thank you. So with that, there is a recommendation. Would someone like to put the motion? Councillor Willis.
I would move that the report from the Clerk's Division dated July 14th, 2026. Yeah. Read Partners in Mission Food Bank Community Grant Application, additional information be received. And thank you to the clerk for doing that.
So moved. Seconded by Councillor Ennis. Any comments from the mover? Seconder? Other members? Call the, Councillor Prodrick, did you have a question?
I thought you were going to say call the question.
Okay, I'm calling the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. And the next is a request for a proclamation. There is a recommendation. Do we have that we can put on the screen?
You missed.
Yeah.
To your worship, sorry, I believe you missed item 11.3.
I did. It's just like every other meeting, I miss one. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Ennis. I didn't realize what you were trying to. So, welcome back. Is there any additional information you have on this evening?
No, just here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we have a recommendation for this item. Would someone like to put a motion on the floor? And it is coming up on the screen. There. Oh, I see. Okay. I see why there's 5 items there and only 4 on the in the report. It is identical. Would someone like to put a motion on the floor? Councillor Willis.
I will move the motion as it appears on the screen.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Budrick. Any comments from the mover?
No, the reason I'm happy to move it is because work has already started on this. So, yeah.
You, seconder, other members of council. Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Thank you. Now we have the request for an endorsement for the annual Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day. So it is on the screen before us. We can receive or receive and support. Councillor Broderick.
I would move that we receive and you said report?
Support.
Support, sorry, my turn. Receive and support.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Ennis. Any comments from the mover?
Briefly, I'll be really brief, but having spent 30 years in education, this is a core group both within the school system and within childcare that are vastly underpaid and underappreciated at times, but their contribution to youth it can't be measured.
Thank you. Seconder, comment? Other members of council? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. No committee of the whole. Oh, 11-5. I did miss that. Well, I'm breaking my own record, maybe. I'm gonna miss more. Good thing I can laugh at myself. There was a notice of motion made at the last meeting. Councillor Budrick, would you like to present that this evening?
Just basically, as stated, if we get.
Sorry, can you just read it? We'll
Yes.
need a mover and a
Yeah,
second.
okay, the motion, the council directs staff to provide a report considering the advisability, feasibility, and operational considerations relating to the potential drafting of a bylaw regulating smoking and vaporizing in public places and enclosed workspaces.
So moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ennis. Comments from the mover?
Yes, it's just something we don't have. We're running off of a provincial standard. And I've had a few different businesses in our community speak to me regarding some issues with people around their workplaces not being considerate enough, I guess. And if we had something that was concrete that showed just the simple distance from a door is really all they're asking for, that it would be helpful for some of our businesses.
Thank you. Seconder, any comments? Other members? Councillor Broderick.
I support the concept. I guess the questions that will probably come out are businesses aren't public places, so we can't legislate that. And the other thing is, my understanding right now is that the health unit is in the enforcement unit for, and in some of the parks, the signs are there. I know in the arena there. And again, it's enforcement's going to be the issue because unfortunately, people use the parks and don't see the signs, or we all know, we've been to the Jets games, you know, you got to cut through the clouds sometimes when you leave the building. But anyway, support the motion.
Thank you. Thank you. And those are good topics for the report to address when it comes to us. Any other member? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. And now I can go. Are there any notices of motion to be presented this evening? Seeing none, are there any direct motions to be presented this evening? Seeing none, we do have the consent agenda. We can follow the recommendation for everything in the consent agenda if that's what we wish, or we can extract. Are there any items you wish to extract this evening? Councillor Willis.
Because of declared conflicts, I would ask that we extract 14.8, the minutes of the Community Grant Committee, and address them individually with the clerk's help.
Okay. The other conflicts that were presented, they were all in that same topic, right? Yes. Okay.
Within 14.8, in general, or more specific?
In item 14.8, so in the minutes. So if we extract that, then we can deal with them more individual so that everyone can have their opportunity. Okay.
Just for clarification, in the past, when this item has come forward to council, council has removed certain sections of the item, not the entirety of the minutes. Is that the hope?
Lift to the mover, is that acceptable?
That was my intention. So
Okay,
if
so
you
then we
have the
would just need,
numbers.
yeah, we would just need a list of the numbers to be redact or removed.
So, sorry, what numbers?
3, 4, 5, 12.
3, 4, 5, 12, and 14, 13,
And one from this.
And 19.
and 19. And yours are the same. So that covers all of them? Okay.
And just for clarity, this would approve the decision of the committee for every other item listed under their minutes.
If that's the motion that's presented. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so with those extracted, would someone like to put a motion on the floor for the rest of the consent agenda? Councillor Broderick. Sorry, just a second. I'm looking at the clerk.
Additionally, if there were any items that council wanted to sever for further discussion, not only because of pecuniary interest, this would be the time to sever them as well.
Yes. So if there's anyone that wishes to extract any of the other items for reconsideration, other than what the motion was from the committee. And look to the CAO.
If you don't mind, it has come to my attention that the committee denied the application from Kinsman Dream Home for a grant related to their fees. I think perhaps under the misunderstanding that of where the money was going back to, that they would donate it back to the township, but the intent was for it to go to the Affordable Recreation Fund, which is the fund which has been established for the sole purpose of giving out to residents for the relief of poverty, and it's supported through charitable proceeds that way. In looking at that, it was my understanding, but we haven't been able to find the supporting resolution for it, that council had approved going to the committee, and then if the committee had denied the application, that the money was to come out of the working fund. That was my recollection, and unfortunately, we have not been able to find the resolution that states that. So it is my recommendation that the committee pull that to discuss that piece, or if you don't wish, to discuss whether that money comes out of our working fund.
Okay. Would someone like to move for extraction for item 8? Okay, Councillor Budrick. We don't need a second to extract, so, okay. Okay, so now I would entertain a motion for everything else. Councillor Broderick. Turn your mic on.
Doing the wrong thing. Okay, I would recommend that, sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Too many items, there it is, okay. I would recommend that the minutes of the June 29, 2026 meeting of the Community Grant Committee be received.
Sorry, we are still on the motion for the consent agenda with those items redacted.
Okay, so that's
removed.
I would move that the items in the consent agenda, save item, that's right, I had my other page. 3, 5, 12, 13, and 19. And 8.
Sorry, I'll just put it up on the screen.
Oh, that would be even better.
I like the way you work.
It is time for vacation. Getting close, just don't know where we're going yet. Here. Okay. Recommendation that all items in the consent agenda, save item 3, 4, 5, 8, 12, 13, and 19 under 14.8 be approved and presented, and that the necessary action be taken.
So moved. seconded by Counselor Ennis. Comments from the mover?
No.
Nothing. Second. Other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Okay, so we'll go back to the ones that were extracted, and if we can just do them, if you just want to call out the numbers, and we can do them individually.
Sure. So we can start with item 3, which is the decision on the Cutter Conservation Community Grant application in the amount of $77,000.
Okay? And that was conflict of interest for.
Let me leave the room or like
No.
just sit here and be mute.
You just don't participate?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Oh, he does have to leave the table? Okay. Yeah. He's the chair of the board.
They basically just need to.
If you.
Sorry. Can I declare a conflict on 14.3 as well, and I'll file the papers afterwards?
Okay,
Motion?
so I would like yes, I would, if you would present a motion. Counselor Willis.
I move resolution GC 2026-29 that the committee recommends that council approve the Cataraqui Conservation Community Grant application in the amount of $77,000. So I move that council approve that.
So moved, seconded by Counselor Budrick. Any comments?
Just that the work that's being done is upgrades to Parrots Bay and should be a welcome addition to the community.
Sure. Seconder. Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. And the next item?
So the next item is number 4, which is the decision to deny the Gibson Family Healthcare Charitable Foundation Community Grant application in the amount of $7,382.52.
So would someone present a motion, please? Counselor Willis.
I recommend resolution GC 2026-30 that council deny the Gibson Family Healthcare Charitable Foundation Community Grant application in the amount of $7,382.52.
So moved, seconded by Counselor Parks. Any comments from anyone?
I can give the perspective from the committee that the charitable foundation really serves to support a private enterprise, and that's why they recommended that we deny it.
Okay, thank you. It's been a long day.
It has been seconded
It has
by
been
Councillor
seconded,
Park.
and we're in the comments. Thank you. Too much sun. Other members, any comments? Call the question. All in favor? Motion has passed. And the next item?
Yeah, so the next item is number 5, which is resolution GC 2026-31. The committee recommends the council approve the Royal Canadian Legion number 623 community grant application in the amount of $96,488.44.
Do I have a mover? Counselor Budrick, so moved, seconded by Counselor Parks. Any comments from the mover? Seconder? Other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. And the next item?
So the next item is number 8, resolution GC 2026-34, that the committee recommends the council deny the Kinsman Kingston Dream Home Community Grant application in the amount of $38,186.
Thank you. So we can take a recommendation or take a motion on this with in mind of the clarification that was provided by the CAO that the funding would be used within the township. Counselor Willis.
I would move that council deny the Kinsman Dream Home Community Grant application in the amount of $38,186. And if I get a seconder, I'll explain why.
So moved. Do I have a seconder? Call a second time. Seconded for discussion. Mover?
The discomfort with the committee was twofold. One was that the beneficiaries of the Kinsman Dream Home funds tend to be Kingston organizations. And the benefit to Loyalist Township is the branding of Loyalist Township. So there was a question about that. The other was that the Kinsman had, and it wasn't particularly clear to the committee because it wasn't spelled out as plainly, but there was the suggestion that the Kinsmen would give back in kind to the community the amount that we're giving them, and it looked like a shell game with the community grants. So, if the intention is to give the Kinsmen, or to put affordable rec money out of the community grant funds, do it directly, rather than giving it to the Kinsmen and having them taking it out of one fund and giving it back to another. That was the concern with the committee.
Okay. Seconder, any comments?
I'd like to hear from the CAO.
CAO?
Certainly, I can understand the committee's concern with how this works. The way Kinsman operates with their dream home generally is they've recently been asking municipalities to waive their permit applications or their DCs, whatnot. And Kingston gives them a grant out of their working fund. South Frontenac had given them out a grant out of contributions to charitable organizations fund, so they had budget for it. We also have a working fund, and that was why my understanding, I don't know where it went, but that this could potentially just come out of our working fund reserve for this purpose. The Kinsmen have committed in each of the previous years of developing a dream home is, should they be successful, and they've always been successful to date with selling the required number of tickets, is they commit as part of this of donating back to a charity in the municipality that grants them that grant. The issue here is we talked at a bit of an extent when we met with Kinsman is there's not one obvious charity in Loyalist Township that would work for. So for instance, in Kingston, they donate to Lionhearts, they donate to the Y, they donate to sort of charities that are within Kingston that very obviously benefit that community. Off the top of my head, I don't know who it was in South Frontenac. But here in Loyalist, we have the Lions Club does a lot, but you can imagine that Kinsman doesn't want to donate to the Lions. That's a bit odd. So that didn't work. I suggested the United Way because those funds could then be earmarked for organizations within Loyalist Township through the United Way. But Kinsman's has had some issues with that in the past and don't want to donate to the United Way. So the intent of finding another option for them to donate, which would definitely have a benefit for Loyalist residents 100%, and only here is the Affordable Recreation Fund, which just recently, as well as I can advise council, has been approved for charitable donations by the City of Kingston Lottery Licensing Department. I've been able to work with them and modify the agreement with Odessa Lions so that we can create this fund and that charitable proceeds are eligible to use it. Eligible donation from charitable proceeds. There is quite a significant constraint on the use of those funds. For instance, the municipality cannot use those funds for any operational purpose and for any other purpose. It has to go for the relief of poverty and directly to residents. And then that if we don't use it for that purpose, we'd have to find an alternate charitable purpose. So Kinsman can come and whether council wants to support this or not, but Kinsman will donate, for instance, to Lionheart, or any of those organizations. They're just not 100% Loyalist residents. And so we were just in an attempt, and I'm happy to find another one, but in an attempt to find something that would 100% benefit Loyalist residents from their charitable gift after they build the dream home. That's why we chose the Affordable Recreation Fund.
Okay. Anything, Councillor Parks? Any other comments or questions as a seconder? Okay. Other members of council? And Councillor Bradrick?
I would just say that it may be a shell game, but it's out in the public. It's not like we're trying to hide anything from anyone. And I do think, given the dollar value here, and I know how many families that might affect and Loyalists and different things, I think it's well worth it. And, you know, the dream home has never been in Loyalist, and I do think it'll brand. And also with the other thing is, you know, the youth. We've talked a lot about youth and some of the things we've done over 4 years, and I think this fits into that way of thinking.
Did I see your hand up, Councillor Willis?
No.
Sorry, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll just go back to the mover for final.
I'll be very happy to have my motion defeated.
Okay. There's a key piece of information. So with that, I will call the question, all in favor? And against? All against? Motion is defeated. I would entertain a new motion on this item. Councillor Broderick.
Can I just get clarification before I
Yes.
make the motion? At 27,000 in the defeated motion and 38 in the second motion, is that correct? Like there's a,
So I can clarify
Yeah.
that one through the mayor. So the first motion, the reason the committee had 27,000 is because they had concerns about plumbing fees that was in the application. So initially they tried to approve it for all the amounts except the plumbing fees that were listed. That motion failed, and then the committee moved to deny the application and the full requested amount.
okay, thank you. I would make a motion that the committee recommends that council approve the Kinsman Dream Home Community Grant application in the amount of $38,186.
So moved. Seconded by Councillor Budrick. Comments from the mover? Seconder? Other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Thank you. Next item.
Through the chair, just a point of clarification with items 12 and 13, they are motions on the same grant funding request. It would be suggested that that council make a motion relating to number 13, which was the carried motion from the committee.
Okay. So with that, would someone like to make a motion on item 13? Is there questions for clarification? Okay.
I would move resolution GC 2026-39 that council deny the Amherstview Jets Junior Hockey Club Community Grant application in the amount of $10,000.
So moved. Seconded for conversation, Councillor Parks. Mover?
So the situation with this request, it was a one-of request by the hockey club. They had a lot of transition this year because one of their longtime leaders passed away. And what fell through the cracks was their application to do their bingo, which is their big fundraiser. And so they weren't able to do that this year, so it leaves them short. So they were asking for this $10,000 grant. The committee, it's a very good committee that understands the policy, and the policy does kind of limit general grants for sports, but also council has latitude. So it is something that we can give consideration to. So again, I've made a motion that I hope gets defeated, and we can talk about it in a different way.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Other members? I'll call the question. All in favor? Against? Motion is defeated. Would someone like to present a new motion on this item? Councillor Willis.
I would move that council approve the Amherstview Jets Junior Hockey Club Community Grant application in the amount of $10,000.
So moved, seconded by Counselor Parks. Any comments from the mover? Yeah, already said, seconder.
Just thanks to Councillor Loyalist for the clarification.
Other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Was there another one?
We do have one more.
Okay.
But we'll just wait for Councillor Project to come back in the room.
Yep.
Okay, so the next item is number 19, which is Resolution GC 2026-45, that the committee recommends the council deny the Loyalist Business Association community grant application in the amount of $10,000.
Would someone like to put a motion on the floor? Just looking to the clerk, the chair of the committee has declared a conflict, so cannot take part in the discussion. We can. You were? Okay, so that's a lot cleaner, I think, if you want to ask for clarification. So a question for clarification could come before a motion. Would you like to ask that question now?
I did leave that meeting a little early because I had a meeting for my day job, and I think I'd have to go back. Sylvie, tell me, was I there? I was in my car. I had to leave early.
You are not there.
Okay. Would staff be able to speak to this?
Yes, I will do my best.
Please do. So, you were just wondering why it was denied, is that correct, Councillor Parks? What the circumstances were around it being denied?
Yeah, so I have the notes from the minutes of the committee. So at the time the committee discussed this application, they had several questions they asked. Primarily, they were wondering whether the cost can be covered by membership fees because Loyalist Business Association charges them. They also wondered whether promotion can be extended to all township businesses, and then whether the program duplicates services offered by the township or the county.
Okay. It's clear then? Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to go forward on this item. Councillor Broderick.
I would move that the committee recommend that council deny the Loyalist Business Association community grant application in the amount of $10,000.
So moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parks. Comments from the mover?
None.
Seconder?
Yeah, sorry, just, I think they received a grant previously, so I think it's now time for them to kind of start dealing with their own membership themselves and supporting themselves directly. So I support this.
Okay. Other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. That was the last one?
That was the last one.
Thank you for taking. It would be a challenge for me. So we're down to announcements. Anyone have any announcements this evening? Councillor Willis.
Thank you, through your worship. I'm sure you're going to speak about Bath Canada Day, but I can speak about Amherst Island Canada Day. So it started early in the morning with the Agriculture Society having an open market. The Recreation Society and the Emergency Services put on the parade and hot dogs and fireworks. And it was a lovely day. And we actually saw quite a few people from off the island, from Bath and the surrounding area coming over. So that was very nice to have them come over to the island. So thanks to staff who support that as well.
Thank you. Councillor Broderick.
If I could add to that, the back kitchen was giving away free ice cream, and they have unbelievable caramel salt ice cream. And thanks to staff on both sides of the water for a great day.
Other members of council. I will also just, for the Bath Canada Day, huge success. It was a great event, well attended, despite the scorching heat. Also would like to thank some of the vendors that showed up and passed out free water just to make sure that everyone could participate, enjoy, and stay healthy. I did end up going and getting one of those bottles of water because mine got apparently thrown in the recycle bin and I needed one to refill. So it was very good that they were able to do that as well. And I thank staff and the whole committee that plans that for making it such a success. The Amherst Island, I only attended the parade, the last portion, but it was well attended. And like you said, the boat was full when we came over. So there were a lot of people that were heading to the island to enjoy themselves as well. And that's great to see that the whole community coming together for a celebration. I would also just like to thank staff for preparing the float for council to be able to enjoy. And it was well used at both parades and very appreciated. Thank you. Councillor Prodrick.
I just wanted to mention, we sort of missed 14.9.
Was that not in the consent agenda?
It was.
Okay. Whew. Good. I've only missed 2 then. Any other announcements? With that, confirmatory bylaw. Could I have a motion for the confirmatory bylaw? Councillor Wells.
I've moved that bylaw 2026-42 to confirm the proceedings of Council of Loyalist Township be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign and seal.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. All in favor? Motion is passed. And a motion to adjourn. Councillor Parks, seconded by Councillor Budrick. All in favor? Motion is passed. We are adjourned at 8:40.